It's the book of John chapter 8. It's John chapter 8. Start at verse 44. The boy is verse 44. And it reads, "Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it." I want to start off by giving all praise, all honor, all glory to Allah, Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushai, Ba'ashim, honors to the elders and to the apostles that learned the truth from. Peace and salutation to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and Aqua, thought to listen to the learning, Lord will lead us as edified. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad, and the land of other nations appearing like the other nations, but who subscribe to this truth. To you I say Shalom. So brother Yahweh coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit, through the power of Yahweh. Ba'ashim Yahushai, Yahweh be that he is, he exists, or he to be. Ba'ashim, Ba'az Id, Haz, that ship his name, Yahushai, be that he saves, or he deliverer. True names of the Most High God, the Son. People ignorantly call God is Jesus Christ, but whose true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh. Ba'ashim Yahushai. This lesson is inspired by I saw something on the news and it was saying that pretty much the Trump administration pretty much declared that the Operation Epic Fury is over, after 66 days of bombing, which is funny and very significant because these devils practice gematria, which is like, it's not numerology, but it's a form of numbers. They associate numbers having meaning, which numbers can represent or can have a positive or negative meaning. But that's why the elders sometimes go into 5 represent power and 8 new beginnings and whatnot. But nonetheless, so it caught my attention and made me look up some. And then this article says Trump says gas prices will fall soon, but experts warn it could take years. And I was listening to a brother. He was like, "This motherfucking devil would just be lying." That nigga just get up there and just lie. You know what I mean? You ever seen motherfuckers sit up there bullshit? Certain jobs. Like if you ever had a union job, individuals that be like union, work for the union. Those people are pretty much untrustworthy because the union, you're supposed to have certain rights and privileges and job stability if you're in the union. But nowadays unions are worth shit for real. You know what I mean? Like it's not, it's just everything is on a decay or a decline. Back in the day, a union had some strength. Nowadays, the unions are more like who was that? When the brothers was going in about we all recall when you had those dock workers were pretty much and the president I think was gonna get them to strike, but then he came to a deal. Now this union president probably making millions of dollars, and he pretty much was gonna have them strike, and then because basically they was talking about bringing automation to the docks, and the union workers was like, "Shit, if you bring automation, you gonna take away our jobs." So they were almost gonna strike, but some kind of way he came with it. He basically conceded to Trump, which again you got to question, I was watching an episode of Empire, which I hate that show. I never wanted to watch it, but I was watching it with my friend, and I was like, "Oh, I never do this," because like I said again, I never watched it when it was out. But it was showing the episode where the son, that's I guess they're supposed to be the superstar, the most talented of all the 3 sons. Well, can't say that. The one son was a businessman. He wanted to be like the father, but the father was a rapper and a businessman. But you had the one son that was the homosexual, that dude that sat up there and said the bag of people jumped in. That nigga, it was sitting up there still lying about it. Shit be funny sometimes. He was still lying about it after the fact. Like, they still did, because he basically had to, I think, serve some jail time. I think it was like only like a certain amount of days. But nonetheless, he played, like I say, he was more of like a singer slash songwriter, because I think he could play certain instruments, but it was one son that could rap because the father could rap. But basically made a statement about Obama, called Obama like He said Obama wasn't a real black man, which is spiritual, right? Because if, you know, Obama's not a Jake, you know. Although, you know, Obama got a little bit more soul than, you know, some individuals, you know. Obama a weirdo, though. I say that to, you know, just say, like, if you ever caught Obama have, you know, has been on camera doing some, you know, just the way he you know, he has a little charisma, put it like that. He's still a weirdo, though. But in the show, it was saying how the youngest son was like, oh, he's not a real black man. So, what's his name? The father, Lucius, basically had to talk to the president. So my point of bringing all this up is you don't think the president can reach out to these, you know, CEOs of these major corporations and whatnot? Like, yeah. But anyhow, especially, I mean, Trump's buddies, all his buddies is CEOs and Fortune 500, you know, business owners and whatnot, you know. So, but point being, he say the gas prices gonna go down, but he's clearly lying. You know what I mean? And no, what's the testimony or testament to that? Because of the fact of what's going on in Cuba, you know, and that's coming here. So, you know, again, you'll be a fucking fool to trust this devil. You know, Scripture said, "Cursed be the man that trusteth in man." You know, Scriptures talk about putting out thy confidence in princes. You know, which DJ Trump will be considered the king. You know, these princes will probably represent like these governors and, you know, these heads of states and, you know, these municipalities and whatnot, you know. So, I'm going to read it. Because again, it's funny. They said that the war is over with, but they said, Salaki, they said the war is over with, but that's just the offensive part. So they said that they're not attacking anymore, they're just defending. Because although it's supposed to be a ceasefire, it was war erupted during the ceasefire. You know, I believe they said a certain amount of Iranian ships attacked, you know, a United States military vessel, and basically the U.S., you know, destroyed them. But nonetheless, they attack it. So, you know, you get two polar opposite narratives of what's going on, you know. So if you believe that we just whooping their ass over there, well, I'm not part of Babylon the Great. if Babylon the Great or Esau Edom is just whooping their ass, you a fucking fool. I was listening to the beloved elder in Chicago, and he was reading an article talking about how many bases have been destroyed. And I think he named like 10 to 15 of them. He named quite a few. So if they're completely destroyed, you know, I think most of them got destroyed, and then some of them they tried to repair. But they destroyed these bases. Therefore, you know, this shit cooked. You know what I mean? Just like with a lot of the military bases, you know, Babylon the Great, aka America's being pretty much told to leave certain you know, countries that got military bases. They don't want, you know, these NATO countries don't want them there. You know, I did an article because Patrick Huffey brought it out. You know, I knew you know, DHS was pretty much, the government was shut down. Like the whole time they had the government function, but they didn't have the government. That's how you know. See, this is how you manage your household. Like I was thinking of Everybody Hates Chris. And the mother was talking about one time, she was like, pretty much the father worked 2 jobs. So she was like, well, you know, basically she had to manage the money. So basically she was like, I don't pay this bill until this bill is paid, or I let this one lapse so we can pay for this because when you get paid this day. So pretty much that's what they were doing. You know what I mean? Like they pretty much shut down the government, but they didn't shut down the whole complete government. They shut down DHS, you know, Department of Homeland Security, which affected, you know, the Coast Guard and certain other agencies and departments of the government or getting paid. They said that the government was shut down for like 60 to 70 days. And, you know, a lot of those Coast Guard members couldn't pay their bills. You know, people getting, you know, evicted, and, you know, military bases not having, you know, power to run and all kind of shit. You know, you got the troops being rationed, they ration their food because this place is broke. But let the devil tell you it's all good. You know, gas gonna go down. And you a fucking fool if you believe, but majority of Babylonians are fools, you know. So believe what you want to. You know, people will put their hope in everything but your how about Shemel Shine. Again, I think it's in Psalms. It talks about putting out their confidence in princes. You know, if you go put your confidence in anything, put your confidence in your how about Shemel Shine. So it says United States declared that the offensive phase of the war with Iran, dubbed Operation Epic Fury, concluded May 5th, 2026. Today is the 6th. But to show you how this is bullshit, if that's the case, if the war is over with, that they're not saying that though. You know, the devil is very smooth with his words. What's that, Psalms 55 and 21? His words are smoother than butter. You know, this motherfucker sitting in your face a lot. You know, you talk about, I said Jake, you know, Jake's smooth with words too, but you know, Jake can tell a bitch what she want to hear. But, you know, like this devil, but Trump is like, you know, I guess, again, go back to people will trust it and hope for anything, but, you know, how much should be outside, especially 2/3 of our people. And that's going to be to their detriment, to their destruction. Shifting to a defensive posture focused on securing the Strait of Hormuz. So again, why are they doing that? Because they're not leaving that region. And you got to understand, war is expensive. So if the country is already, strapped for cash, you know what I mean? And then all these jobs, I mean, that Spirit Airlines is something very significant. You know what I mean? Like, you know, these gas prices, like the elder was saying, he said, shit, you ain't been seeing these planes fly, you know, and it's spiritual too, because since, you know, you ain't been seeing those trails in the air, it's been raining a lot, you know? Think about that. While officials state the main combat operations are over, a fragile ceasefire exists alongside ongoing agreements, or ongoing agreement. This is alongside ongoing agreement. But, you know, I don't think that they really having a ceasefire. That's just what they telling us. You know what I mean? Again, the proof is in the pudding when Iran attacked them. I see the brothers going in on that mark. So that Spirit is trending on the mark. It says, offensive operations ended. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced that Operation Epic Fury is over and its objectives were achieved. But what did they achieve? The next phase, because the next phase is troops on the ground. And that's why they try to secure the strait. Ooh, this motherfucker sit up there and just, like say again, and you people trusted this motherfucker. They said that Donald Trump has basically made over like $5 or $6 billion since he's been in office. So do this sound like a person that gives a fuck about your well-being? Like the elder brothers, I forgot what elder bro was going into. He was like, shit, when he says that we're with it, it's not, he talking about Babylon the Great, or you Babylonians, or you know, you Americans. He's talking about the elites, because basically what they're trying to, you know, do as far, because this war has actually, you know, did a great deal to bring forth this, you know, this system. Because, you know, again, you got to collapse the economy in order to bring in a new one. You know, the technology for the market, and that's a spirit, because, again, brothers been talking about the MOTB for like the last couple days, right? And then, like I said, again, in order to bring in a digital system, they have to collapse this, you know, this current system, which is collapsing. It says Project Freedom, the U.S. initiated Project Freedom, a defensive operation to protect commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, though this was paused recently amid negotiations. Ongoing tensions. You know, and then, like I say, like DJ Trump was something up there talking about, he was considering basically paying them, what did they want, $25 billion to open it back up? Because this, you know, the strait being closed is affecting these, you know, these corporations, you know? Like, you got to understand, like, I forgot the elder was going into, like, the Caspian Sea or whatever. Like, pretty much Russia's supplying, it might not be Caspian. I know it's another body of water that basically Iran is using to get supplies from Russia while they have the strait blocked up. And, you know, again, they have a secure position, you know, to defend it, you know. So, you know, they doing bad if they got to consider, we got to pay these people. How you gonna sit up there and try a bully tactic and then talk about you know how weak you look? That's like somebody sit up there talking about fuck you and they have to come. You know, like you ever see somebody get into it with their parents at their house? I'm leaving, and they have to come back. They show that on Player Club. I was watching Players Club. I had to remember how funny that was. The only thing that made it funny was Bernie Mac. He said, who you talking? Who he talking to? He said, talking your ass. He said, some of a bitch. That's funny. Ongoing tensions. Despite the announcement, sporadic clashes and security issues persist in the region. Right. So again, how are you at a ceasefire if they fighting? This is what I'm saying. This devil playing with words, man. Like I said, again, don't be or do be misled. You know what I mean? Again, you want to trust that everybody. Like I said, the scripture talk about all those that will serve me, bring them before me, and slay them. Like, fuck these people. Like, again, like I said, y'all don't trust and love the Lord. You know, I was listening to the beloved elder going to, he was talking, I think it was titled Love and Demons. I was listening to it because he was like, you know, again, we so like fucked up and brought low as a people, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like I know I got trust and love and issues, but again, I did see true love being amongst brothers. And, you know, I will be a liar to say that I don't miss that. But like the elder brother said, I recognize it as well as he do. Like, you know, again, and I love bros, you know what I mean? Even with, you know, the misunderstandings. I mean, again, I understand that that's my lot, you know what I mean? For whatever reason, for good or ill. You know, I mentioned that movie Magnificent Seven when they remade it with Denzel, and you know I forgot what kind of what tribe he was from, but I think he was Sioux, but he was you know I ain't gonna say Indian, but he was a Northern Kingdom brother, and he was up there. He said the elder said my path different. Imagine that, just being pulled aside. Yeah, you got to go walk, walk, but you got to remember Gad was seers too. You know. Yeah. It says negotiations. The U.S. and Iran are engaged in discussions regarding a final deal and a 14-point peace plan to end the conflict permanently. But you really think they about to end this permanently? They've been trying to get into this place for the last 20 years. Again, you got to understand war costs money. And like I said again, you know how much money that costed to move those assets all the way over to the you know, the what's that, Western Asia? To that region? So, like I said, the country already broke. You know what I mean? And like I said again, they waited over a little bit over 2 months to actually pay. And that's what I said, like, that's how cooked this place is. These devil is doing some strong arm tactics. You basically owe your troops and soldiers pay, and you think they gonna give you they all and fight to the death for you? That don't have a person's mindset. You know, like the elders go into you know, you had certain I forgot what their military title would be, but pretty much you had certain guard that would kill the Roman Empire. I mean, not the empire, emperor, when they was going off, you know, because they realized that this man can bring us all down. He's like a cancer, so we got to cut him off. You know, this man is literally deconstructing this place. But you got people that's really under the illusion, you know, that he's gonna make America great again. And this place, it tells you in the book of Jeremiah 51, this place cannot be healed. It says ceasefire. Ceasefire has been in place since early April, though its stability has been tested by ongoing shipping issues. Not just that. Again, they just literally was like the American Babylon the Great just literally was in a conflict with them, you know? So yeah, trust in Babylon the Great if you want to. Is a 2/3 wheel. This is the book of John, chapter 10. What is this doing? Come on, man. It's the book of John, chapter 10 and verse 10. The thief, which is Esau Edom, because what did he do? He stole, raped, robbed, and murdered to get this land, to possess this land. People forget about that. The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and destroy. I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. And these scriptures, this truth gives you life. You know what I mean? Again, these people have nothing to hope in, trust in, believe in. So when the shit get bad, you know what I mean? The scriptures talk about wisdom and knowledge should be the stability of our time, strength of salvation, the fear of the Lord is his treasure. You know, when people, you know, lose everything, they gonna lose it. And they don't have nothing to you know, to empower them, you know, complete despair, which is utter hopelessness. It's the book of Psalms 36, I'm going to start at verse 1. To the chief musician, the psalm of David, the servant of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahshai. The transgression of the wicked saith within my heart that there is no fear of the Most High before his eyes. For he flattereth himself in his own eyes until his iniquity be found to be hateful. The words of his mouth are iniquity and deceit. Deceit. You know, this nigga's a devil. That's what the word devil means. A deceiver. This motherfucker sitting up there just lying. And again, when you in control, like again, like say for instance, something was bad. Like say for instance, I tell my children when I lose my jobs because the simple fact is, my children take a lot of shit for granted. You know what I mean? Like the thing is this: I wasn't spoiled. If anything, I spoiled myself. You know, when I start doing what I thought I needed to do, or put it like this: my father didn't spoil me. So again, he raised me like how he was raised. My father was born in like 1936. You know what I'm saying? Around the Great Depression, so they grew up a certain kind of way. I could understand why my father made some of the moves he made because they grew up poor. And then it was a big fucking family. Like my grandmother had like 10 children, which my father was the oldest. So the way that he grew up, like I said, like they probably had 2 pairs of pants. Well, they wasn't no probably. I think he got 2 pairs of pants, 2 shirts. She made that happen. And then they probably made that shit. And then that's how he raised me. Like when we go shopping, each year he give me 2 pairs of pants. So when I start being able to move around, I started doing what I was doing, and that's what I would buy myself some shit. Like I didn't wait on him to do this or do that. I started doing shit. But point bringing it up, my children, I didn't intend to spoil them, but I ended up spoiling them, and I didn't realize I did. I remember when I was homeless, and then when we was getting off the street, people was just giving them shit, and I remember seeing a particular brother that that people just like. I just used to give him shit, just because that's how his spirit was. You know what I mean? Like you would just want to give him shit, and that was the favor from the Lord. You know what I mean? I remember that brother be like something wrong, and everybody would just figure out a way to get it for him. Yeah. Which is deep, you know what I mean? Like, the Lord, he even made that statement, which I came to realize, you know what I mean? Like, you got to understand, favor comes from the Lord, He like, but, these people that spoiled like that, like again, the Lord also humbled me. I've had things and I've been without things. When I became homeless, the Lord really humbled me. So that's why I don't really put a lot of trust in, like secure this shit. You know what I mean? Like at one point in time, I'm like, because I'm watching other Jakes that's supposed to have been, elders over me, watching them move certain kind of way. And, you assuming that's how you based on what the scriptures say. And just because one man is able to do this or do that's just like one man the Lord might favor him to have a whole bunch of women. And then you might not get no women. You know what I mean? And that's the Lord doing that to you for whatever reason. You know what I mean? Maybe he don't want you to really be focused on a woman. You know what I mean? A woman to take your time and attention. Yeah. On top of the fact that most of these women ain't shit. You know what I mean? Like real talk. Like again, you ain't about to really find a woman that's just completely into you. No, they too self-centered. I'm not saying that, you know what I mean, again, like brothers that got women, you'll hear brothers complain. The most upright, brothers equate to, how brothers move through the spirit, with manliness and whatnot. I've seen brothers that I'm like, damn, there's certain qualities that I wouldn't mind, let me work on. Then I've seen brothers, that brothers possess, which is nothing to admire something about a brother, but at the same time, you shouldn't try to be like a brother. You could try to fix flaws, and you always supposed to be growing. But I've seen certain brothers that you would be thinking like, oh man, like just because a brother's household looks lovely on the outside or paints a beautiful picture doesn't mean like we in hell. You'd be surprised. I mean, I've heard some stories of certain brothers, like I said again, that you hear rarely talk about what's going on in their life. Literally be like, this bitch is, demon, because demons jump on, jump on these women, Satan go get to you through what's closest to you. Like right now, Satan on this fucking guy at this job. And I ain't gonna lie, I thought carnally for a second, because I'm watching him fuck with me. A guy that worked there, like, a blind man can see he fucking with you. And I bite my tongue and shit. I'll curse that nigga family in. That nigga died in a car accident. I mean, like, I'm to the point with it. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't gonna do nothing stupid, but no, fuck you, niggas. You purposely fucking with me? I don't give a fuck about you just like you don't give a fuck about me. These are the type of motherfuckers at this job where, I can see if we both going for the same position, but you just don't want me to work here? Like, what kind of demon I get? You know what I'm saying? Like, the fuck is wrong with you? And you got niggas that think like that. That last job was like that. He sitting up here sucking on this corny ass Edomite. You know, this motherfucker got playing. You know, what's a fucked up pirate? I can't think of the pirate name, but you know, which I read something. They said the pirates come from the Knights Templar, which make a lot of sense. He was like, that's why they got the cross and the skull and bones and all. You know what I mean? And then a lot of them was faggots. You know what I mean? Ain't no women on no fucking pirate ship. So they popping the weakest one out of the crew. But that's neither here nor there. Salakia for the rat. It says that he deceived mischief. Salakia. The words of his mouth are iniquity, and deceit he have left off to be wise and to do good. He deviseth mischief upon his bed. He setteth himself in a way that is not good. He abhorreth not evil. You know, and this all represents this Esau. This all represents this so-called white man, this red Hebrew Idumean, this Edomite. You know. This man is just a liar. Like I said again, you know, they call Donald Trump orange. You know. Which he really red. That's how bright this motherfucker is. The fucking devil. And again, when you just constantly watch him, he just constantly lying. And the people so fucking just stupid that they believe in this shit. Like, you know, it's an old saying. Don't watch what a person say, but watch what a person do. Roughly paraphrase. So I'm going to end it with this. This is the book of Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 5, and it reads, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Shabbat Shai, curse be the man that trusteth in man and make of flesh his arm. When you trusted in yourself, you know, and spiritual too. Another thing that's trending, a lot of brothers talk about, I don't know who said it. Maybe it was Yaki. I think, you know, that's crazy too, because right before brothers were going in on him, I saw something he said. He was going into, it was a video, he was going into how a lot of the food that we eat, pretty much, they talk about is human flesh, you know, or it's got human DNA in it. And it's crazy because the one brother from California, LA, he was going into how they already did a study showing that a lot of our meat is tainted with human meat. And like I said, I did a lesson because I was like, well, damn, being the Northern Kingdom brother, because like I said, just so happened to work with a Northern Kingdom brother, and you know, we chopping it up, and like I said, again, he knows certain things, you know what I mean? Like, but his faith is not there, you know what I mean? He talk about, yeah, I want to train and learn this. I'm like, so you'll go to the military to try to learn. I remember a dude told me, he was like, shit, the shit that you learned at the military, you can learn, you know, in your backyard. Yeah. It's a whole war going on that they not telling you the truth about. Because at the end of the day, what did he say? What was it, Kissinger? Say, military men are dumb, stupid dogs? Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Shabbat Shai, curse be the man that trusteth in man, and make him flesh his arm, and whose heart departed from the Lord. For he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see what good cometh, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, in a salt land and not inhabited. Verse 7, the point. Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord Yahweh Shabbat Shai, and whose hope the Lord is. Let's look at that word hope. Hold on. Yeah, trust in the Lord and whose hope. So,
Strong's H 4009. Miftach.
Says trust, confidence, refuge, act of confiding, object of confidence, state of confidence, security. We trust in the Lord because, again, the scriptures talk about the Lord is a man, he should not lie. And we all got our testimonies of when the Lord tried us and tested us, was walked with us. The Lord put us in situations that came, delivered us. You know, the Lord might put you in a situation to see if you're going to pray to him. You know what I mean? Like, I've actually experienced that. The Lord put me through something, my ass trying to, I'm going to, you know what I mean? Like, because, yeah, I always looked at, like, the prayers was precious, you know what I mean? So when I wanted to call on the Lord, you know, hopefully he come through. Since, you know what I mean? You know, foolish thinking. The Lord don't care how many times you pray to him, you know what I mean? Like, but sometimes the Lord just want to hear you, you know, the Lord expects, He demands you pray. You know, scripture say pray without ceasing. So, you know, I you know, just want to throw something down, you know what I mean? Because again, this motherfucker, you know, it's funny and then it's aggravating, you know what I mean? Like, it's funny because it's like, this nigga lied again, this nigga at it again. But then it's aggravating because it's like, you know this nigga lied. You know, I was listening to the elder, bro, he was going into today, he was like, sometimes you ain't even got to be spiritual. He was like, you know, if you spiritual, he said you're going to be able to recognize certain stuff, you know, with a motherfucker not being forthcoming with a motherfucking lie, yada yada. He was like, but sometimes you ain't even got to be spiritual. You know what I mean? Like, just you can have the insight. Yeah, this motherfucker just steadily lie. So, if you're a so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Simple Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the law, statute, commandments of your power. His true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, because we are at the end, or you will be destroyed. With that, I want to give all praise, all honor, all glory to call Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Kodash, double honors to the elders, to the apostles that alert this truth from. Peace and salutation to the Aki across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and freedom to do so. Now more so than ever. Shalom to the Aki and the Aqua to listen to the learning. Lord will lead us as edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but subscribe to this truth to you. I say shalom. Till next time, Lord willingly, shalom, shalom. Kwab Yasharala and Bawaf Lababor. Soon.